Classic Skyblock is the most downloaded, most iconic, and most popular map ever created for Minecraft Java Edition. You spawn with very little, and your only mission is to create what you can with the items given to you. It's not easy, not in the slightest. Especially in hardcore mode, where one slip up is all it can take to end your world forever. If you'd like to watch parts 1 and 2 before this video, which I highly recommend by the way because you will be lost if you don't, both links are in the description. And also, before I begin, if you like this video, please subscribe. I honestly appreciate every single one of you who subscribes, and we're closing in on 15,000 subscribers. Now, let's get started, shall we? On day 200, I began by taking in what I had previously created. It had been several long months since I had even loaded this world, so I was bound to forget some things. Right away, I checked on all my villagers and animals, who were all so happy to see me. I hope. After taking it all in, I noticed that my task wall was missing. I must have destroyed it at the end of 200 days, not thinking I would ever come back. So right away, I knew I had to recreate it. The task wall was, and will be, my best friend in this world, mainly because without one, I would have no idea what to do. It's something I recommend everyone to create in any Minecraft world. After building the task wall and adding some tasks to it, I decided it was time to fix an issue that had been bothering me since day one, the day counter. Since someone spent time in this world to actually create what we know as Skyblock, the day counter was actually off by 14 days. The only way to fix it was to cheat. So I am actually going to cheat. For convenience, not for progression or anything like that. Do that, and time set 0. That should reset the day to 0. So it's day 0 right now. Game rule, do daylight cycle, false. 48 million. Day 200. There we go. Now, instead of being on day 214, it was on the correct day. Day 200. After that little fix of the day counter, I began collecting all the iron I had placed on my roof. Yeah, I still don't know why I did that. Why would I build something like this? Now it was time to actually get serious once again. I wanted to start creating infected villagers for better deals on things like mending books, food, and plants. That meant I needed to create an area in the village that the golems couldn't find, but the villagers could. I also needed 2 very specific mobs. So, focusing on the mobs first, right above the village I created another mob spawner. And once that was complete, I ended up using the well as an entrance. I had built this well as an infinite water source, but now it would also be a secret entrance into a room specifically for the infecting and curing of villagers. Now, why did I make the mob spawner? Because my brain is large, obviously, but for a more productive reason as well. The mob spawner I built was just over 24 blocks tall. And if you are familiar with Minecraft mob health, 24 blocks will kill any mob with 10 hearts, like zombies, skeletons, creepers. Since this farm was over 24 blocks tall, that meant that any mob that wasn't protected by armor or didn't have extra health would die on impact. And guess what? Witches have more health than regular mobs, and any zombie wearing armor would survive the fall as well. I had built an entire mob spawner to get 1 witch and 1 zombie. Once I got them, I destroyed the spawner. If you're still confused, let me explain. Witches have a chance to splash weakness pots, which I discovered back in 100 days. And even though I actually had a brewing stand from the end, I didn't want to use it. Once I had maxed out a librarian to get a name tag, my witch would never despawn. And thankfully, my zombie didn't even need a name tag. It was already holding something. So what I would do is make villagers I would want to infect fall into the chamber that was right below them. Let the zombie attack them, and then I could use the witch along with golden apples to cure the infected villagers. Sounds simple enough, right? Unfortunately, this is not how it went on my first attempt. This will be test numero uno of this. I'm gonna get my chest plate, come down here, open that, leave. We're just gonna go over here, as if nothing ever happened, right? And the villager we put down there should be... Oh! Hold on a second. Hold on. Did I see that correctly? The villager is dead. Oh no. Oh no. Wait. What? This was a shocking discovery. My difficulty was on normal mode, even though the game mode was on hardcore. As soon as I discovered this, I knew exactly why this had happened. I just remembered. People, we have not been playing on hard mode at all. We've been playing on normal for the entire time, and I had no idea. That just revealed it. I didn't really think this was true. I know that I used an MBT editor to put myself in hardcore mode, but I must not have switched to game mode. I thought hardcore automatically meant hard mode, because whenever I created this world, I wasn't in hardcore at all. I was in regular mode. I had regular hearts and stuff. So I had to install an MBT editor to give myself the hardcore game mode, but I guess that didn't change the difficulty. Now that we were actually on hard mode, I was ready to try again. Unfortunately, I needed to wait for another villager to spawn, so I gave my farmers food and headed into the nether to test my gold farm. It still worked like a charm. After the new villagers had grown up, I finally managed to get an infected villager. Now it was time to see if this would really work. Ow. Don't kill yourself, witch. Was that weakness? It was. Yes! Watch this. Now you come in here. Yes! While the villager was being cured, it rained for the first time in forever. I decided to take advantage of it to collect snowballs. My villager had finally been cured, and I began to abuse his trades, attempting to get Unbreaking 3. Once I got it, I proceeded to put it on everything. Next up was mending. I already had a mending villager, so I dropped him down the trapdoor and infected him as well to get a better deal. At the same time, I brought a farmer down as well. A farmer that could trade both carrots and potatoes, and infected him. Pretty soon, I was trading with all three. After a little while, I heard the sound of a wandering trader. These guys were actually insane for me. Normally they're pretty useless, but since I was on Skyblock, these guys could provide materials I could never achieve regularly, and this time, the wandering trader blessed me with dark oak saplings. I bought 4, and then I killed the trader, which ended up being a huge mistake because the tree I grew only gave back 3 saplings. Karma exists. Never again will a wandering trader have dark oak saplings after that incident. So basically in 300 days, I only ever mined 1 dark oak tree. Next I headed into the nether and turned the gold farm platform into a circle to represent my theme. One of the tasks I had put on the task wall was to revamp the gold farm, and this was merely the start of it. Nearing the end, I had a genius idea. I had made a rule previously that said anything I found in the end was fair game, and I had tons of zombie flesh built up in the chests. One of the things I had found in the end was a brewing stand, so I took it, robbed a villager using a boat, and brought them both to the gold farm. After I placed the brewing stand, the villager became a cleric, who became one of my most useful villagers, for 2 reasons. The first and most obvious was that I could now sell my zombie flesh for emeralds, but now I could also get redstone. This was something I had completely forgotten about, as you can see. And now we can trade the gold for emeralds too, and get lapis from the emeralds. And we can get redstone. I just completely... Redstone. That changes absolutely everything. That literally changes absolutely everything that we've done so far. Now that I had cured villagers, I focused on my farms. I expanded outward from the main island, creating a smaller circle, simply for carrots and potatoes only. Once that was done, I headed into the nether again. Previously, I had bridged out from the nether spawn to get to the nether walls, and very close by was a fortress, which I had used for blaze rods, but I wasn't going there for blaze rods this time. I was going there for wither skulls. One of my goals was to get a beacon, and I wanted to get it sooner than later. When I was there, I reasoned that it would probably be worth it to get another librarian villager for looting. If I didn't have looting, getting the skulls would take much longer. So, I flew all the way back home, killed another villager, and abused his trades until he gave me looting. After that, I flew out to the fortress once again and began the massacre of the wither skeletons. The looting 3 paid off, and very soon I had my first wither skull, and another, and another. Now it was time to actually fight the wither. So, Using my nether portals and memory, I made my way to the stronghold and to the end. I was planning to simply trap the wither in some bedrock and cheese it, but either I did it wrong or the wither knew I needed content. Probably both.
Huh?
Because of this, I actually had to flee. I wasn't expecting to actually have to fight, so I didn't bring enough arrows, and I actually ran out. So, after escaping back to the overworld, I knew that I would have to fight it legit. I grabbed arrows, gathered my balls and my wits, and traveled to the end once again. After finding the wither bullying some endermen, it was time to fight. Say no to bullying. This is what happens to you. Okay, here we go. Okay, trying to miss every shot because I suck at this. Ouch. Been withered. Whoa. Okay, here we go. Where? Whoa! Alright, we got this. Yes! Oh my god. The wither was dead. I grabbed another star and jumped back into the portal to begin work on creating the beacon. This was actually quite tricky because I didn't have glass, and I didn't really want to rob my cactus farm to smelt glass. But if Skyblock has taught me anything, is that if you have a problem, the answer is villagers. Librarians have a chance of selling glass for emeralds, so after revamping the farming district one more time, I began unlocking the glass trades. This took a while, but soon I succeeded in getting the glass trade. I already had plenty of obsidian from piglin trading, and iron blocks simply weren't an issue for me. I did consider making an emerald beacon, but I'm simply not good enough with villagers to get that many emeralds. I'm practicing though, guys, I promise. I knew beacon beams could travel through bedrock, so I decided to build my maxed out beacon right below the golem farm, where the one remaining block of bedrock remained from the original island. After doing that and adding haste along with regeneration as my effects, I went around adding glass to some of my builds, including the village, my house, and the mob spawner. On the eve of day 231, I remembered that cats can actually sleep with you and give you items. So I guess you could say I actually slept with a man for the first time. Get it? It's because his name is Man? No? Okay. Yeah, I didn't think so. So I'll be honest, guys. And girls. From this point on, I didn't really have an endgame goal. Perhaps I should have held off on the wither fight. Holding off is a problem I have in many aspects of my life. I wanted to have reasons to expand my island more, and one reason came from the idea to get a trident and possibly a mob head. I had only seen one thunderstorm on this world ever, and I had slept through it. But even if a thunderstorm never returned again, it would still be fun to say I got a trident on Skyblock. Drowned zombies can only spawn in ocean and river biomes, but they can spawn at any height, even in flowing water. With this in mind, I flew around with the elytra until I saw a river biome using F3. I then began to build my trident farm. Basically all this is a really huge chunk of water that drowns can spawn in since it's in the river biome. They then sink to the bottom and wait to be killed. After just a few minutes, I got my trident. Yay! We got the trident! The drowns also gave me copper, which was kinda cool. I finished off day 239 by enchanting my trident with my librarians, who actually had decent books for tridents. Now I had a channeling trident. I'm not sure why, but it's cool. I just hope it thunders soon. So basically I wanted to do a raid. Spoiler alert, it never happened. But I did try. My first attempt was to expand the industrial district with a platform for mobs to spawn on. My plan was to maybe get a patrol to spawn. You know, those guys that just wander around with crossbows and stare at you kind of weirdly. Yeah, them. However, I didn't take into account how close I was to a village. My little village actually classified as a village, and according to the wiki, the patrols could not spawn near them. So this island was kind of a waste. It was fun to make though, and it was good target practice if nothing else. After that, I just spent a little bit of time farming, because I believe resources are important. Now it's time for some complicated redstone. But don't worry, you don't have to do any of it. Instead, I spend 80 minutes of my life creating an elaborate redstone contraption, transporting my piglins, and rerouting my gold collection system. Basically, any gold bars that were dropped from the gold farm would be filtered into the chambers holding the piglins. Then the piglin would automatically trade. This was the revamping I talked about. And now, besides the absurd amount of gold swords, this thing was fully automatic, which was good. I could have redesigned the entire farm to make it faster, but as they say, why fix something that isn't broken? My gold farm certainly wasn't broken. So in my notes, I wrote this down for days 250 to 260. Got good tools, got more dirt, got more villagers, and got more subs. Subs. Yeah, hit that subscribe button. I don't know. Anyways, from days 250 to 260, not only did I get good tools, dirt, and subscribers, but I also began preparing for another island. This one would be next to my house, and it would be a fun little project. 1.17 had been out for a little bit now, and I was trying to figure out ways to implement the new features into my Skyblock. I didn't actually start that project today, but I prepared for it, which is why I got the tools. Using my villagers, I combined all my tools as much as I could until they were nearly fully enchanted. There was also something that was beginning to bother me. For some reason, I felt bad for my villagers, even though I had given them life and insane protection. But it was getting a little too crowded in there, so I wanted to make it a little bit bigger and better. I began by replacing some of the cobblestone walls with birch fence gates, which looked good, along with being an easy way in and out, because up to this point I had been jumping across walls on carpets. Once that was done, I realized I rarely ever used the walkway behind the village, so I got rid of it and expanded the village by a few blocks. Maybe now they'll all stop trying to get into my damn house. Like, look at them. After expanding the village, I added some weird shelters in behind the houses simply for extra beds and more space for workstations. I wouldn't say they're homeless because they have a roof above their heads, but they don't have any walls either. I am a great host. Once that was done, I gathered all the materials I'll be using for this next project and began to create an island known simply as the Axolotl Island. The Minecraft circle generator that I had used in 200 days came in clutch here, as I was able to build a perfect sphere out of it. In this sphere, or hemisphere if you want, I placed water and replaced some of the wood on the bottom with stone, and then covered it up with a roof to keep the light levels low enough for axolotl to spawn. After searching them up on the wiki, I learned that the axolotls love stone for some reason, and they'll spawn on it and hunt the glow squids. Unfortunately though, it was physically impossible for me to get the blue axolotl, because in order to get it, you have to breed them with tropical fish, and I kinda didn't have any. It was still fun though, and eventually I ended up collecting a whole bunch to put in the pool out of my house. Look at those nerds. So nearing the end, I wanted to make some automatic farms, and I was out of room. So, since the mob island was a complete failure, I decided not to completely waste it, and began to merge it with a new massive expansion of my island. This task took almost 2 weeks to complete, and looking back, I'm honestly not sure why. Perhaps it was the surplus of dirt I needed, maybe it was the fact that I skipped every night, or the fact that I managed to get sniper duel whilst building the platform due to my lack of torches. He's trying to shoot me. He's getting too close. Hey! So after I finished the platform and everything, it was time for some new farms. I had added 5 farms to my task wall. Automatic sheep farm, stone farm, which I'll explain once I get there, expanded tree farm, which was technically already done with the dirt platforms I had made, automatic sugarcane farm, and an automatic pumpkin farm. Since we now had redstone, all of these things were possible. First up, I chose the stone farm because I thought it would be the funnest thing to build. I was wrong. Very, very wrong. The reason I wanted a stone farm to begin with was because of my beacon. I could get haste 2, and my pickaxe had efficiency 5 on it. This of course means that stone is mined instantly, but cobblestone isn't. So I attempted to create an elaborate system for the stone farm. Turned out it was much harder than I originally thought it would be. First of all, because I only had one source of lava in the entire world, and no real way to get more, I had to use the same source to spread across my entire island. After that, I had to use a large portion of my redstone creating a piston system, which just turned into an ugly mess of water and blackstone. Stone is only created if lava flows onto a water source block, and on my first attempt, this happened. Now it should begin to work. What on earth happened? But after fixing the issue, the farm began to work as intended. Because my water had to become source blocks, I couldn't make a large row of stone like I wanted. But this farm still nearly gave me 8 stacks of cobble just after a couple minutes of mining. So after all my failed attempts, this finally became a success. After such a task, I had gone back to the Nether to repair my tools at the gold farm. But when I came back out, I was greeted with a very unpleasant surprise. What on earth is going on? Yo, I might need some help. What? Oh god. Why are there so many? I have no idea what has happened here. All of the drowns that had been passive towards me ever since I had finished the Trident farm all decided to band together and raid my island. Such rudeness. I give them life and they try to take mine. After recovering from the attack of the drowns, I focused on the pumpkin farm. This is a pretty simple design used by many players, and fortunately for me, never gave me any hard issues like my stone farm did. Before I finished, I was visited by another man, a man who gave me very interesting things. Hi! Bucket of... Dripstone. No idea how to use that, but dripstone. How on earth do I... That's sand. I would use the sand in my next farm, which was a sugarcane farm. I built it right above the pumpkin farm to make it look cooler, and after a failed attempt to build a house around it, I decided to leave it the way it was. And believe it or not, we're about to reach the end. From day 295 to 300, I finished the last farm on the task wall, the automatic sheep farm. This sheep farm required 2 main things that I didn't have a lot of: grass and sheep. Thankfully, I had enough sheep to begin breeding, and I cured one last villager to give me the silk touch trade. I lured my new sheep out of the village, and as I built the farm, I continued to breed them. This farm was pretty simple. Unfortunately, the recording Magicov forgot to unmute his microphone, so I'll have to explain it. Basically, sheep, grass, observer, redstone, dispenser. Sheep eat grass. Block update triggers observer. Observer powers redstone. Redstone powers dispenser. Dispenser is filled with many shears which shear sheep. Hopper minecart below collects wool. Wool for Magicov. Happykov. However, before I finished the farm, it began to rain, and it turned out to be the thunderstorm we had been waiting for. Thinking fast, I removed a bunch of light around my area to try to spawn mobs. My goal was to get at least 1 mob head before 300 days was up. This, however, proved to be quite dangerous. I had forgotten my flint and steel, and if I got too close to a supercharged creeper, even my armor wouldn't protect me. So I had to get it from my chest, while also avoiding the explosion. Then get the creeper and skeleton close enough, and make sure it didn't destroy all my beautiful glass. It still nearly killed me, like what? You should have heard my reaction. Why was my mic muted? Ah! Anyways, after finishing the sheep farm, day 299 had arrived. I spent the last little bit of that day admiring everything we had made. It's incredible what all of these items can get you. And you know, of course, access to the Nether and End, but we don't talk about that. And that right there is how we survived 300 days in hardcore Skyblock. This will be the last episode for sure of this. There's nothing else to do. There's nothing else to do. If you enjoyed this series and this video, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, all that great stuff. We're coming close to 15k, guys. We're getting close to 15k. Please subscribe. It'd be great. See you in the next one.